USCIS released data for fiscal year 2023, the full year, and we're going to cover what is the percentage approval rate and denial rate for EB2 NIW and EB1A. Hi, my name is Oscar and I'm a scientist, not a lawyer. In this channel, we cover green cards like EB2 NIW, EB1A, in which you can self-petition. That means that you don't need to have a job offer, a company sponsoring you, and you don't even need to hire a lawyer, saving a lot of money. Let's get into today's topic. The latest data for approval rates is out and it covers the full year 2023. And remember, the fiscal year for USCIS goes from October, it starts in October, to September the following year. So it doesn't match the natural January to December year, okay? They follow their own fiscal year calendar. So let's take a look at what is the data that they publish. As you know, they do publish a lot of statistics. Sometimes we like the way they do. Sometimes it is a little bit complicated to extract data and to treat it and to present it. But in terms of the data we're going to see today, it is pretty good. The format they have is nice. So I'm going to show you what is the raw data from USCIS, what do I do to convert it into usable data so you understand what I'm doing with the numbers and you can trust them. If you want to go to the original source, the raw data, I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can just click and go to the PDF from USCIS. All right, so let's continue. If you are interested in previous analysis that I did, and I do this regularly because I know you guys really like it, so you can go to my video of fiscal year 2022, similar to what I'm going to cover in what I will cover today. So you can click on that. I'm going to leave a link somewhere right here, and then you also have a video that I made just a couple months ago that covers fiscal year 2023, but we were missing the last quarter, and that is what we are adding today. And today is going to be interesting because in the last video, in that video that I'll also leave somewhere here, we said that there was a declining of approval rates for NIW. So I said in that video at the end that it would be interesting to understand if that trend would continue or it would revert. And even if that number that they were giving for the third quarter was true, because USCIS sometimes they go back and correct numbers from previous quarters, which I know it really sucks, but that's what happened previously. So this is the raw data from USCIS for the full fiscal year 2023. So if you click on the link that I will leave in the description to the USCIS data, the PDF that you will open will have this at the top of the file. And here they cover all employment-based categories, EB1, EB2, EB3. And I'm not going to cover those that are green cards where you need a sponsor. I only cover those where you can self-sponsor, self-petition. And those are EB1A, which here in this table is referred to as alien of extraordinary ability E11. And then EB2 NIW, that is in the second preference and is basically National Interest Waiver, NIW. So one thing that I always say in these videos is that data doesn't add up. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you add cases approved, denied, and pending, they will not match the column for received cases. Because those approved, denied, or pending, they may have come from previous quarters, okay? And the received column is cases received in that particular quarter. That's why there is a little bit of a mismatch. So just that note in case you start, doing the sum and all the math operations and you feel something is not adding up, that's the reason. So what do I do to extract a percentage number from this file? I compare approvals to denials and I kind of disregard pending and received. We really care about what is the ratio between cases that are being approved and cases that are being denied. Okay, that may not be a super accurate number, but we are looking at trends over time, so it is very useful to look at it in this way. So what we do is we divide the number of approvals by the sum of approvals and denials and multiply times 100, and that's our percentage approval rate. Okay, it's not, I said it more than once, it's not rocket science, it's pretty reasonable to do this. Now, before looking at the numbers, if you are interested and very serious about your EB1A or EB2 NIW green card application, you can go to one of my websites. For EB1, I have eb1greencard.info. For EB2 NIW, eb2niw.info, and you will find a lot of information there about these two green card categories that are based on merits. And among everything that I offer there, what I really recommend you check out is my online courses, because you will find a sample petition that you can follow and mimic the structure of it. And then I have a lot of lectures divided in plenty of modules. So each module has a bunch of lectures that will contain videos. In the case of NIW, I have videos in English and in Spanish. For EB1, I have videos in English. And we cover everything from I-140 to the adjustment of status if you are in the US, or consular processing if you are abroad. For NIW, we also do monthly live meetings where you can come and meet me live and ask questions. And even if you cannot make it to those, you can submit questions in each lecture so you can get all your questions solved. That being said, let's continue with our numbers for fiscal year 2023. So here I have the percentage for the approval rates. And what we can see is that there's no major data corrections for previous quarters. So that's something I always look at, because in the past, there have been times where USCIS publishes numbers that are different from what they had published before. Okay, so in this case, they publish quarter 4 for fiscal year 2023. I looked at quarter 1, 2, and 3. And yes, numbers are not exactly the same, but in this case, they are very, very close to what they had previously reported. So no issue with that in this case. Now, if we look at EB1A, for example, which is here in bold, you see that the approval rates are ranging from 70 to 74%, depending on the quarter, and the average for that year was 71%. That is in line with what we had been seeing recently. For NIW, we have an approval rate ranging from 72 to 85%. And that means that there is quite a bit of change across the different quarters. This is lower than the previous year. Now we are averaging about 80%, and it was higher last year. And also we are seeing that the approval rates are declining. We started the year 2023 with 85% in the first half, and then it went down to 77 and 72%. So at the end of the previous video, I said, we knew that we were below 80% in quarter 3. So I said, we'll have to see if this is a trend that is consolidating, or this is going to just be a blip, and then it's going to come back up. So it seems that it is not something that is an outlier. The approval rates are indeed declining, and of course we're going to have to keep an eye on the next report for fiscal year 2024. But it seems that for some reason, and I can get now into what could be those potential reasons, for some reason we are seeing approval rates come down for NIW. So if you want to see it in a graphic way, which I suspect that most people are more comfortable with this plot instead of all those numbers in a table. Here we have in green NIW, and in blue we have EB1A. Of course, NIW will generally be higher in terms of approval rates because it's a lower standard, so it's easier to meet that NIW standard. So naturally, EB1 is going to be more difficult. What we are seeing in terms of trend, I divided fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2023 with that line in the middle. We see for NIW, the approval rates were going up until we changed to fiscal year 2023. And then we saw a decline there, and that decline has been more pronounced as we got into fiscal year 2023 end of the year. So we're going to have to see where does the new data point come out to be. Maybe that trend will continue or it will revert. For EB1A, this fiscal year also saw a little bit of a decline, but overall we're not seeing a huge change. Okay, if we look at the big picture, and that is why it is interesting to not only focus on one quarter, but to see data in this kind of more high level overview, which is very useful to see trends. Now, this is the percent approvals, but what happens to the total number of approvals? Sorry, the number of cases, the approvals plus the denials. I was doubting between showing you only approvals or approvals and denials. The graph looks very, very similar because the denials are really the minority here. So I show you everything. And what I want to convey here is that the demand is going up, and that may play a big role in everything that is happening to these two categories. So let's see again, NIW in green, EB1A in blue. And what we are seeing is that while we thought, well, maybe towards the end of 2022, NIW attention was going down, but then it really bumped up. And we were between 2,000 and 4,000 cases each quarter in fiscal year 2022 for NIW. And now we are surpassing 10,000. So we can say that the demand has tripled in a very, very, very short time frame. Okay, so what happens here? Number of cases are going up, but the approval rate is going down. Is this contradictory? No, not at all. It actually makes a lot of sense in my mind, and this is my opinion. Okay, number of cases are going up dramatically. Now, that means that there must be a lot of people that are applying without really understanding the category properly. Number of businesses that grew in this environment is really huge. And by companies, sometimes I mean shady businesses, people that don't really understand the green card category and that are providing advice to others, sometimes not great advice. And here I put consultants from US, but also from a lot of different countries. And in the past, I talked about Pakistan, which is one of the clear examples of that happening. But I also see lawyers that are not really great, that are just jumping into this ship. And I've seen cases that lawyers wrote and consultants wrote that are really not good. So, and then there may be a pool of people that are not really advised by anyone, and they are just finding information here and there and submitting cases that are really not great. Maybe because they are not prepared, their profile is not good enough, their endeavor is not good enough. And maybe it's because even if their profiles are good, they are not putting a good case together. And that really is important when it comes to both NIW and EB1A. Everything I'm saying is the same for EB1A. We saw that in fiscal year 2022, number of cases was about 2,000 each quarter. Now it has doubled. Okay, so it's not as impressive as the green bar here, but it is still very significant. And this also plays a role when we talk about the visa bulletin. We've been complaining, especially in NIW, of how the backlogs are not cleared, how the visa bulletin doesn't advance everything we would like it to advance. This is why, because there's so much demand and the number of visa numbers that we have every year is fixed. Congress can change that, USCIS cannot. So we have the same number of visa numbers available, and we are seeing that NIW is going 2-3x in terms of demand. So what is going to happen? That the wait times are going to keep increasing. So that is the reality. That's how things work, and everything can be seen in this type of statistics. We know that USCIS has been hiring a lot of people, particularly after the pandemic. USCIS was in big trouble, really. They were financially not stable. They didn't have enough money. They had to get rid of people. And what happened recently is that the situation has reverted. And now they do have money. They did start hiring people, and more officers are coming on board. Now, are those officers properly trained? We hope so. But there is the chance that they are not following exactly the same standards, or they are confused when they analyze an EB2 NIW case because it's way more complex than a regular green card with sponsor. So who knows? I mean, I can only wonder what is happening. So we have more demand, new officers, and overall the policy has not changed. So there could be other factors, and maybe you can tell me in the comments what you think, what other factors could be at play here, and I'll be really happy to read your theories also. Okay, so what do these numbers mean to you? I said this the last time I recorded a video like this, and it's important to remind ourselves that these numbers are not your probability of success. When I say that, let's go back here, NIW has now an approval rate of 75%, 70%, that doesn't mean that you specifically, you have a probability of winning a case of 70%. Each case is unique, and there are factors that go into play when you submit your petition and you are waiting for that adjudication. One is your profile. How strong is your profile? Do you have a lot of accomplishments? Are you exceptional? Do you stand out, above everyone else in your field? Two is your proposed endeavor. Do you have a proposed endeavor that is well explained, that the officer understands, and that is of national importance? Three is the quality of your petition package. It doesn't matter if you have a great profile and if you have a perfect endeavor and you're going to help the US with very important critical aspects if you didn't explain it correctly. So a petition package that is not good will not do very well in the eyes of USCIS. Finally, the wild card, the factor that we cannot control, is who is going to be reviewing your case? What officer will be on the other side evaluating your file? We know that there are offices that are easier than others. We know that there are offices that are newer than others, and officers are human beings. This is a very subjective category, both NIW and EB1A. So even if they have a good or a bad day, maybe that plays a role. So I don't want to say that USCIS officers are not serious about what they do, but there is a variability inherent to the fact that these are human beings that have emotions, that have their own way of doing things, even if they are following their overall guidelines at the agency. So, wildcard officer, who is going to judge your petition? What else can you think about? Is there any other factor that you think is important when it comes to your success chance? And remember that the stats we are seeing are not specific to you. They are overall stats. That's why they are statistics. They are not telling you what are your odds, okay? So, with that being said, I thank you for your time. I hope this video was of interest to you. I hope you learned something today, and I hope you are motivated to start or continue to put together your EB2 NIW or EB1A petition package. If you do, check out my websites, check out my online courses, and I'll be there to help you in the process. Thank you.